Happy Saturday and hello everyone. Today is 26th of April and now it's 11 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media and public pay attention to, and I hope you'll find this episode informative and interesting. And if so, please, dear friends, click that like button and leave some commentary while watching or listening to this video, or if you are watching it on YouTube, if you can, please switch to my Rumble channel for next 35 minutes. That's approximately how long this video will last, I guess. Link of my Rumble channel is under this video on YouTube, in the description box and in the pinned comment. And if you have an account on Rumble, please subscribe. It might be helpful because I'm considering from next week, from Monday, start new program on Rumble, exclusively for Rumble. And this new program gonna be live streams, daily live streams at evening time, with the latest news that Russian media outlets or different sources on internet will report about. And hopefully this addition to Rumble will generate additional interest among our bigger community on YouTube to subscribe to Rumble, and also hopefully Rumble platform itself will promote my channel a little bit to a Rumble community, and well, it might help. This is an experiment that will last at least for a week or two, and if results are good, okay, I will continue. If not, then well, we will see what's going to happened after that. So yes, from Monday to Friday at evening time, approximately 7 o'clock Moscow time at evening, sir, I will have live streams on Rumble with the latest updates, and also I will react during the live streams on Super Chat. Because my channel is monetized on Rumble, you will have opportunity to use Super Chat to support my work, and same time to highlight certain question or topic, and I will react on that. On Fridays, live stream will be also community chat, and I will react on all their questions that I see. But on other days, from Monday to Thursday, I will react on Super Chat, if there will be any. So yes, this is an announcement, by the way, and because of these changes, on Mondays, as you know, we had YouTube live streams, community chats, and this live stream will be moved on Sundays. I have no option, and I guess it'd be better if I will move live stream on YouTube on Sunday. So tomorrow we will have community chat on YouTube also, approximately at 7 o'clock in the evening. Okay, relatively long intro, dear friends, but whenever there is some changes in programming, I have to announce about it so that community knows. Okay, that's being said, let's go through some news now, and I will start with this report from RIA Novosti, and obviously all the other media outlets report about it, and probably vast majority of our community already informed that yesterday car bomb exploded in Moscow region, as a result of which Lieutenant General of Russian Armed Forces was killed. So information is that Deputy Chief of the Main Operational Directorate of the General Staff, Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalikar, was killed in an explosion in the Balashikha, Moscow region. This is not far away from capital. Yet another, obviously investigation is open on terrorism charges, but it is obvious, absolutely obvious, that this was a terrorist attack that was organized and conducted by assets of the Kiev regime secret services with assistance of at least British military intelligence, British MI6, so-called one of the most powerful, unfortunately, terrorist organizations in this world, that is guilty of death of numerous people worldwide. And so, yes, unfortunate developments there. Tragedy, of course, for family members of the friends of this general, and there are significant, very serious security breach for Russian Defense Ministry and Russian state. I guess additional measures will be taken to make sure that high-ranking officers of Russian Defense Ministry, general staff, are more secure, and additional measures will be taken to neutralize all the threats that are generated by this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. Some people worldwide may have a mistaken impression that whenever these kind of terrorist attacks are happening, that security situation in Russia is bad, but this is not really the case. Russian security services are working 24/7 to prevent terrorist attacks, and they are doing so quite successfully, but unfortunately, I guess it is probably humanly impossible to prevent all the terrorist attacks, to neutralize all the threats, and therefore, unfortunately, time to time, Kyiv regime, these terrorists that are backed by NATO and the collective West are succeeding with this kind of terrorist attacks, and they are deploying classical terrorist tactics, by the way, car bombs. They are using now car bombs and that kind of stuff. I mean, this is face of their modern collective West and their proxy regime in Kiev. That's what it is. And yesterday, during the day, of course, more information became available about these terrorist attacks. For example, videos start circulating of explosion. You see on your screen now moment of explosion of this car, which was packed, by the way, with explosive materials and also shrapnels to do as much damage as possible. And the car itself caught fire after explosion. There is some additional pictures of that. And just take a look at the damage, by the way. This terrorist attack happened in residential area, and it's only a miracle that dozens of people were not killed as a result of this terrorist attack of Kyiv regime and their British Secret Services. I'll claim that British Secret Services were directly involved in terrorist attacks. I have no doubts about that. So take a look at this building that you see on your screen. Windows, by the way, are shattered with the shrapnels. And as I said, it's just a miracle that at the moment of explosion, there were no many people around there, and not that many people were looking at their windows, because there is another screen. Take a look at this picture. It's a steel door, by the way, in entrance of this residential apartment, and take a look at what kind of damage these shrapnels did. Can you imagine what these shrapnels will do to a human if they are almost penetrating these steel doors? So it was a miracle that dozens of people were not killed as a result of this terrorist attack of Kyiv regime and British Secret Services. And I'm quite sure investigation will conclude that this was definitely a Kyiv regime and terrorist attack was conducted with assistance of, most likely Russian investigators will say, with assistance of one of the NATO member states, but I have no doubts that this terrorist attack was done with involvement of British MI6. 100%, by the way, 110%, million percent. And as I said, Russian Secret Services are working 24/7 to prevent all sorts of terrorist attacks that this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky is committing, planning, and also other terrorist organizations, usually funded and supported by NATO member states. And, well, for example, TASS News Agency reported that a citizen of Romania was detained by Russian Federal Security Service, FSB, in Sochi, and this person, this terrorist, was gathering data about Russian air defense systems that were located in that region. This is southern part of Russia, Black Sea coast basically, and security services detained this terrorist. Probably during the investigation more information will be available first of all for security institutions, and then maybe for public also. But this information confirms what I just said. Literally on daily basis, Russian media reports about prevented terrorist activity of the Kiev regime, and this terrorist, this citizen of Romania, was working, according to statements from Russian security services, working on the orders of Kiev regime security services. So God knows how many people were saved due to detention of this criminal. Also, obviously, there is another breaking news. And dear friends, yesterday during the live stream on Rumble, I did spoke about practically all of this news. And unfortunately, only 35 people joined the live stream, and only about 300 people watched it in a recording later on. Maybe because I just start making these live streams on Rumble, and not everyone from our community knows about it. In any ways, please keep in mind that I have this Rumble channel, and from Monday to Friday I will have evening live streams or evening news updates, and hopefully more people will join our community there. And so I spoke about this news yesterday also, that Reuters published a US draft for Ukrainian settlement. We should keep in mind that this is Reuters, so therefore we should take this information with a pinch of salt. Or any reporting in the Western media, so-called media outlets that are in reality propaganda means should be taken with a pinch of salt or mountain of salt. But anyways, after Reuters published this article, many other media outlets republished this, including Russian media. So let's go through some points, some key points in this draft that allegedly is a Trump's settlement plan on Ukrainian crisis. And I can tell you straight away that there are certain points that hardly Russia will ever agree on. But anyways, let's go point by point. First, lifting sanctions against Russia. Okay, Russia is not asking for sanctions to be lifted, but if they want to, okay. These sanctions are harming Western economies much more than Russian economies. So therefore, I can see why US might have incentive to lift at least some of these sanctions, so that US companies will be able to come back to Russian market and make billions and billions that they lost. And I remind you, dear friends, that according to aide of Russian president in economical topics, Dmitriev, US companies lost over $300 billion in revenue once they were forced basically by their own government to flee Russian economy, to leave Russian economy. So first point, lifting sanctions against Russia. Okay, we don't really care about it, but if you want to, go ahead. Second point, recognition of Crimea de jure and the territories of 4 new regions. This is Kherson, Zaporosia, DPR, LPR, under Moscow's de facto control. All these new regions should be recognized de jure as a Russian territory also. But if Washington, for example, needs some more time for this, okay, I mean, Russia may work out on this topic some deal with Washington. Okay, at least Trump's administration is acknowledging that it is necessary to realize what is happening on the ground, right? Next point, a permanent ceasefire and the start of immediate negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Russia never had any issues with their negotiations, but Kiev regime might had some issues with this point, because Zelensky, while he was legit, when he had some legitimacy, banned any negotiations with the Russian side. And now, while he is no longer legit, he cannot undo his own orders, right? So therefore, this is definitely issue that one may call technical one, but still, it's an issue that has to be resolved by Kiev regime, or they have to conduct elections or whatever, but someone legit has to be in a place so that he will undo decisions of Zelensky while he was legit, so that all the negotiations that might take place between Moscow and Kiev will have legitimate ground. And for Russian president, I said many times before, it is immensely important that everything that is done is based on law, Russian law or international law. And if it comes to negotiations between Moscow and Kiev, then representatives of Kiev obviously have to be legit. Simple as that. But this is some technical stuff that can be worked out, I guess, if Kiev regime really interested in the peace. Next point, Kiev's refusal to seek to join NATO. Okay, I said a million times that Ukraine never had any serious chances to join NATO. Issue was that NATO, even before Ukraine, even though Ukraine was not a part of it, NATO already was working out plans to build bases on Kiev-controlled territory and to deploy its troops. That was the issue, right? So therefore, okay, if Kiev will refuse to join NATO officially, if it will be written in the constitution that Ukraine, if it will maintain statehood, will stay neutral, okay, okay. Next point, Ukraine will be able to work towards joining the EU. Okay, Ukraine has no chances to join EU in reality, but if they want to, Russia never had any issues with that. If you remember, one of the reasons why how Washington justified the coup d'etat in 2014 in Ukraine was that people rebel against decision of a legit president at the time, Yanukovych, to kind of postpone signing trade agreement with the EU. And the reasoning was that Moscow was saying, I mean, we have no issue if you want to, Moscow was saying to Kiev that we have no issue if you want to join EU or if you want to have a trade agreement or association agreement with you, just do it. But we will have to shut down our border for your goods in that case, not just for your goods, but for any goods that are coming from your country. Because not to shut down, but we have to impose taxes on that. And at the time, Ukraine was trading with Russia without any much additional bureaucratic elements being in place, right? And Russian market was a main market for Ukraine, Russian economy. So Russia was trying to protect its economy from influx of all sorts of goods from Ukraine and also from EU, right? Because Ukraine had some agreements with Russia before that. This was a simple stuff, by the way. And when Yanukovych realized that Ukraine gonna lose 40 to 50 billion if they will sign up with Europe, right, at the time, he started negotiating with Europeans if they can compensate this. And well, Washington did not really like that. And they used this topic to activate their proxies. First of all, neo-Nazi elements in Kiev-controlled territory, and they conduct coup d'etat. That's what was happening there, right? But when it comes to the topic itself, Ukraine to join EU or to have close cooperations, Russia never really cared about it much, you know. So this topic, okay, no big deal. Security guarantees for Kiev. This is next point. Primarily at the expense of Europe. I mean, okay, we don't care. There will be no NATO troops on Kiev-controlled territory, that's for sure. Moscow will never agree on the deployment of NATO troops and building a NATO infrastructure, offensive or military infrastructure on Kiev-controlled territory, because it will be seen as an aggression against Russia. But otherwise, if number of European states want to, I don't know, pay some Colombian mercenaries to be stationed there in Ukraine, as they already do, by the way, then okay, I mean, we don't care, right? No NATO troops there, no NATO military infrastructure. Rest can be negotiated. And I am joking about Colombian mercenaries, of course. They are presented in Kiev-controlled territory, a lot of them, and many Colombian citizens were neutralized by Russian forces. Unfortunately, Colombia become generator of large numbers of mercenaries. They're there involved almost in every conflict in this world nowadays. I don't know what is happening in Colombia. Our people have no jobs or nothing else to do but to go fight for other groups of interests. I don't know what is wrong with Colombia, but they are one of the main generators now of all sorts of mercenaries. Anyways, let's go through next topic. Return of the territory of the Kharkov region to Ukraine. Well, this is a big no for Russian Federation, I will say. Russian troops fight and fight harder to liberate many settlements in the Kharkov region from Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky. On the north, in Volchansk, Lipsy direction, on east, in Kupiansk direction, and Russian troops are moving forward. And therefore, I think Moscow will find it hard to agree on withdrawal of Russian troops from already liberated territories. What we can tell to the people there, that they're gonna now be sacrificed just because Washington wants to, or what those people have to do that are on liberated territories, that are living in liberated territories now. They will have no option but to move to Russia completely forever. Otherwise, Kiev regime will just kill them all, most likely. So therefore, this topic is definitely one that hardly can be negotiated between Moscow and Washington. We will find out, we will see. And another topic that also is no go for Russia is restoration of Kiev's control over the Zaporosia nuclear power plant, but with the station managed by the United States. This is not happening, by the way. In no universe Moscow will ever agree on that, because Zaporosia region is a part of Russian Federation based on Russian constitution, and no one in Russia can call or justify separation of any Russian territories. It's a criminal act. It's a criminal act, by the way. If anyone calls for any Russian territories to be separated from Russia, that person will commit crime based on Russian laws. Right? So obviously, Russian president can never agree on anything like that. Zaporosia region is a Russian Federation, and Zaporosia nuclear power plant is Russian nuclear power plant. End of story. Period. Trump might dream about any nuclear power plant and whatever he wants, but this is not happening. This is just not happening. That's it. Next point: unimpeded passage along the Dnieper River for Ukrainian vessels. Okay, this might be worked out. If peace agreement will be reached and hostilities will end, Washington and Kiev implement agreement on mineral resources and economic cooperation. Okay, we don't care what Washington and Kiev will sign up for. Russia and United States cooperate in energy and industry. Okay, many US companies are waiting for green light to come back to Russian markets, so therefore, energy and other industries. I mean, Russia is a lucrative market, isn't it? It's a lucrative market, and many businesses want to have their share in this market. And I can understand why US wants this cooperation. And also another point in Trump's alleged draft of Ukrainian settlement, restoration of Ukraine, and provision of financial compensation to it. Okay, if Washington and other capitals in the West want to continue financing this creation of Bolsheviks, Ukraine, then it's their business. If taxpayers in US and Europe are happy, or in other countries of the collective West, New Zealand, Australia, elsewhere, if they are happy to pay for this non-entity under such name, Ukraine, then okay, let them do so. No big deal. Not for Russia, anyways, right? So this is draft, some main key points from this draft. Several points definitely is unrealistic. Russia will never agree on that. Several points hardly can be acceptable for Kyiv regime. But that's what media is reporting, right? So negotiations are underway, and by the way, latest reports are that Kyiv and its European backers, or Kyiv and its backers, globalist backers, and the puppet regimes of the globalists in Europe, first of all, in UK, in France, and Germany, they already rejected, according to reports, this plan of Washington. So therefore, and they come up with some alternative, by the way, that no one really cares about in Moscow or in Washington. So therefore, I think realistically speaking, there is next to none chances that in foreseeable future, in next couple of weeks or couple of months, hostilities will end, because clearly Kyiv and globalists and their puppet regimes, not just in Kyiv but also in European countries, have none of it. They want to prolong this proxy war as long as they can. They still believe that they can achieve strategical defeat of Russia, and as long as they are this delusional, they're not gonna stop. They're not gonna stop, right? And as long as there is anybody left in Kyiv controlled territory that can be forcefully mobilized and thrown to trenches. So therefore, no one should expect any breakthrough in terms of Ukrainian crisis, and a quick end of this conflict is just not happening. And most likely, Washington, that seems like, is really interested to move away from this proxy war. Probably that's what they're gonna do. At one point, White House might say that they had enough of it. Washington may sign, may achieve some agreements with Russia about, first of all, about concessions that US will agree on due to harm that was done as a result of US involvement in this proxy war against Russia. This information may not be disclosed, but 100% US will sign up for concessions. There can be no doubts about that. And after this, Moscow and Washington may try at least to somewhat normalize relationships, right? At least to reach working level, so that economies of two countries will businesses of two countries will cooperate, economies of two countries will benefit. Also, Moscow and Washington can cooperate on geopolitical scale in number of directions, and this cooperation is already kind of visible. For example, Moscow, as far as I understand, did play important role to facilitate, to organize basically US-Iran negotiations, so that Washington and Tehran will manage to de-escalate relationships between each other. And there are many other directions where, on the geopolitical scale, where Washington and Moscow can actually work together. Let's see. But globalists and their puppet regimes in Europe will most likely continue to their attempts to prolong this proxy war as long as they can, or at least before they will finally realize that they lost. But now they are not ready to acknowledge this. It's just too obvious, isn't it? And when it comes to Russia-US cooperation, yesterday, as we all know, special envoy of US President Steve Witkoff was visiting Russia. He was in Moscow and had about 3-hour meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. I shared the video of that, short episode, by the way, on my Telegram and Twitter X page. Okay. So, and before this meeting, Witkoff went on Moscow streets. This is another video, by the way. Witkoff and Dmitriev, special envoys of US President and Russian President, had little walk around central Moscow with their, we can see heavy security guard presented there, but it's understandable. Okay, and after this, just walk around, Witkoff went to meet Russian president, and he left Moscow yesterday evening, and according to reports, his plane touched down in Oman. His plane touched down in Oman, so probably after during these talks with Russian president, not just bilateral relationships were discussed, not just Ukrainian crisis, but also US-Iran de-escalation, because we all know that Oman was facilitating, and as far as I understand, continues to facilitate these talks between Tehran and Washington. So from Moscow, Witkoff, at least plane that he was using, touchdown in Muscat in Oman. So, and probably Iran's delegation is also there, or maybe Witkoff will share some information with Omani leadership, and the Omani leadership will transfer this information to Iran. But this is definitely connected with the US-Iran talks, most likely. I mean, why would otherwise Witkoff fly in Oman, where first round of talks between Iran and US took place? And I remind you, friends, that second round that happened in Rome recently was conducted in the embassy of Oman in Italy, right? So it's connected. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice that this channel, these channels, by the way, on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, Twitter X page, and the rest of it. This project is completely subscriber funded and exists only as long as the community supports my work and this project. So therefore, if you like what you see, if you find my updates informative, useful, interesting, and if you want me to be able to keep working on this project, please consider to support her. You can do it through several means, through PayPal platform, through Boosty platform that you see on your screen right now, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. And you can find there also this crypto wallet that might be useful if you are good in crypto, and if you want to support, of course. Let's continue with some more news, and we have this report from RT that according to aide of Russian President Yuri Ushakov, Putin-Witkoff talks were constructive, and one of the main topics of discussion was direct talks between Moscow and Kiev. Let's go through some details. So Kremlin aide Yuri Ushakov has held very useful talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff in Moscow on Friday. According to Ushakov, their 3-hour meeting brought the positions of the Moscow and Washington closer on the Ukraine conflict and other global issues. So, okay, as I said, by the way, it was not just a Ukrainian crisis that was discussed during this meeting, but also bilateral relationships and some other topics, including US-Iran de-escalation. Have no doubts about it. Let's continue. RT is reporting that Zelensky, meanwhile, demands at least Israeli-style support from US. So Kyiv expects Washington to provide long-term security assistance modeled on the US relationships with Israel. Vladimir Zelensky has said after Ukraine's European backers reportedly rejected several points of US President Donald Trump's proposed peace plan. And I guess Washington's answer gonna be no on this proposal of Zelensky. But we will see. It is clear that Kiev regime, this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky, and their globalist puppet regimes in Europe, in UK, in France, in Germany, in other quasi-states, they are not ready They are not ready to acknowledge defeat. They are not ready to come to terms of the reality. And therefore, they will continue to jeopardize all the attempts of all the third parties that want de-escalation. All the attempts of de-escalation, right? They will jeopardize this and that's what they do. That's what they do on daily basis. And for example, by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting that Ukraine seized Asian cargo ship in the Black Sea. They are pirating now also. Unbelievable. The State Border Service of Ukraine reported on its Telegram channel about seizure of a dry cargo ship from Asia in the Black Sea. And they are accusing this vessel to be used for transportation of Russian grain. And because this vessel was moving from Crimea, if I remember correctly, reports on other outlets, they're calling anything that goes out from Crimea as a Ukrainian. So therefore, I mean, it's beyond craziness what Kyiv regime does at this point. So therefore, I mean, what can I comment on this? I mean, these are terrorist regime that conducts terrorist attacks and they're engaged in terrorist activity, and their arrest of their vessel, civilian vessel, and destruction of the navigation in the Black Sea is also a terrorist activity. So therefore, nobody should be surprised. But yet again, that's the reality. That's the reality. That's the regime that these globalists are supporting, and the European so-called democracies, right? And I see it today on some media outlets, by the way, reports that this operation of the Kyiv regime's terrorist groups that captured that vessel, civilian vessel, may be beginning of the attempt of the globalists to impose some sort of embargo on Russia. Okay, I mean, they can try. I don't think they will succeed in embargo on Russia, because just take a look at the geography, by the way. You're not going to impose embargo on Russia. It's not possible. Not maritime one, and definitely not a ground one. But yet again, globalists are extremely delusional and therefore extremely dangerous elements, right? Globalists and their puppet regimes are main threat for humanity. I said this 1,000,000 times, and we have just too many indicators that I am correct. I am not exaggerating nothing. I am correct. And the globalists and their puppet regimes have to be neutralized. This should be #1 goal for humanity if humanity wants to survive. That's how it is, man. And I will end this update, dear friends, on this news from TASS News Agency, that in Moscow, more than 150 foreign diplomats honored the memory of Soviet soldiers. More than 150 foreign ambassadors and diplomats laid flowers at the tomb of their unknown soldier and honored their memory of their heroes who died in a fight against Nazism. This was reported on the website of Russian Foreign Ministry. So good news that so representatives of dozens and dozens of countries honored Soviet soldiers that basically saved this world from Nazism and fascism. And how tragic and unfortunate it is that nowadays, modern Russian soldiers are fighting again against Nazism and fascism. That is generated again from Europe, by the way, again, as it was during the Great Patriotic War, or Second World War, as it's also known worldwide. But anyways, something of positive, that dozens and dozens of countries, their representatives honored their memory of the Soviet soldiers, and this is good. This is good. At least they know on which side is and was on the right side of which country, which people were on the right side of history. Okay, I'm confusing myself whenever I'm trying to construct some clever sentences. My English is just too bad, man. Anyways, I'm gonna end this update on that. I believe US ambassador also participated, by the way, which was a bit surprising to me, but nevertheless. So this is it for now. Relatively short update, I hope. Wow, it's 40 minutes still, man. Okay. Okay, it's still 40 minutes, but anyways, YouTube gonna crash this video as it did yesterday. Remember, I said in yesterday's update that because one of my videos day before did more or less okay for a small channel, it reached there was over 7,000 views. Whenever anything like that happens, YouTube is suppressing extremely my videos at least next several days, 2-3 days, and that's what YouTube did yesterday. Yesterday's my update. At least according to YouTube, did not even have their 3,000 views. Okay. I don't know if we can trust YouTube's numbers, but probably YouTube will do the same to this video today, and barely anybody from our community on YouTube will receive notifications. And that's why I'm saying, dear friends, I said it in the beginning of the video, and I'm saying now that if you can, if it's not too inconvenient for you, please, whenever I have an update, switch from my YouTube channel to my Rumble channel, because Rumble don't do this kind of crazy stuff, man. Rumble is much more loyal to community and creators. Okay, this is it for now. Hopefully you'll find this episode informative and interesting. If you can, please share video with your friends or information about the existence of this project. Have a wonderful day and take care. If you want to support my work, on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment, you will find all the links that you can use for that. So yes, this is it for now. Have a wonderful Saturday, great upcoming Sunday, and take care.